Well, news breaking this afternoon about the Republicans' plan following President Obama's job speech tonight. A top GOP aide saying to Fox News that Republicans plan to look for common ground with President Obama and want to work with him on creating jobs. Meantime, the conservative American Crossroads taking a bit of a different approach.
Barack Obama says he wants to create jobs, but his record? Attacking high-tech jobs, manufacturing jobs, healthcare jobs, energy jobs, even union jobs, with nearly 14 million Americans out of work. For Barack Obama, the best jobs policy might be to start with repealing his own policies.
So who's got the better strategy? Let's ask our panel. Chip Saltzman is a former campaign manager to Mike Huckabee, and Hank Shankoff is a Democratic strategist. He also worked on the Clinton-Gore campaign. Guys, thank you so much for being here. So it's interesting to see this leaking from Capitol Hill now, Chip, that the GOP is not going to go after President Obama tonight. We knew that they had declined to offer an official rebuttal, but now we're learning more about the reasoning. You know, they don't want to be seen as going after the president hard. They want to be seen sort of as cooperative and willing to work with him. But is that real?
Yeah, I think it is to a certain extent, especially when you're talking about if we're talking about payroll taxes, if we're talking about lowering capital gains, if we're talking about lowering regulations, getting the EPA off the back of the American business owner. I think those are the things that the Republicans in the House and in the Senate would be willing with the president on. But I think as an overall plan, I mean, I think we're looking at a same song, same verse deal from President Obama tonight. If he's talking about a $400 billion stimulus plan, I think overall the Republicans aren't going to go along with it, but they want to talk about tax incentives. They're going to want to talk about keeping payroll taxes low. They're going to talk about maybe capital gains tax decrease, things and like regulations at the EPA. I mean, President Obama's people right now are talking about regulating dust for farms. I mean, it's just gotten out of control, and I think that's where they want to head with this.
Well, Hank, do you buy it? I mean, do you think that the Republicans are going to listen to the speech tonight and really say, those are great ideas, President Obama. We're on board. Let's work together for the American people.
Unless the American people are morons, they won't believe the Republicans are not going to say anything about this. They're going to go on the attack tomorrow, but they're smart enough to figure out politically it would not be wise to attack the President of the United States when he's trying to come up with a jobs plan. So tomorrow is a perfect day for carpet bombing, and they'll talk about the usual silliness that really doesn't amount to much, and they'll try to make this about Democrats killing jobs, which is nuts.
But do they need to do something, Hank? Do they need to agree to some part of the president's plan so that they disarm his argument going forward that it's this do-nothing Congress that's really to blame?
I'm not an economist, but I am a political consultant, and I've had a pretty good run. My bet and my advice to them, where I'm advising them, would be to agree with what you can with the president, figure out how to disagree publicly in a civil way, but don't demean the office of the president, and don't demean a jobs plan. Demean things about it. Don't get into that battle. If you get into a battle of demeaning anything that talks about getting jobs, well, you're going to have a problem at the voting booth come next year.
But, you know, Chip, no matter what they agree to, if they agree to anything, the president's message is going to be the same. Unless they agree to everything, he's going to have fodder to go out there and tell the American people that he tried to do more, but the do-nothing Congress stopped him from doing it. So does that remove their incentive to cooperate
actually,
with him?
As much as it pains me to agree with some of what Hank says, I would disagree with the point of this.
Okay.
Yeah, it pains me. But here's the deal. I mean, the American people, the American people understand government stimulus, printing money back into this economy is not working. I mean, we did this $800 billion stimulus last time. It did not work. August was not exactly a stellar month in creating jobs. It created zero. I think what the Republicans are going to say, they're going to agree with certain parts of the plan, but let's say this is our plan. This is what we need to do. We need to lower regulations. We need to get the EPA off our backs. We need to open up our domestic energy policy.
They'll stay on message, right? In other words, I get that. But Hank, let me ask you this, Hank, because Brit Hume had a piece this week on Fox News saying the time for speeches is over. And at some point, and we're there, this president's going to get judged on results. And even to just be complaining about the politics that prevented your results, he thinks it's too late for President Obama on that score as well. What say you?
I agree with him, and I think you've got to allow the Republicans to do dumb things so that you can then say, wait a second, I do have the plan. They won't let me, but I'm going to fight for the American public anyway. That's the better political tactic. And frankly, you know, we have John Boehner, Republican Speaker of the House, who's in a state where the Republican employees just lost their rights to collectively bargain, so he could turn them into people who are now living in a right-to-work state and having no ability to enter the middle class. Perfectly well and good, but they can't get away with it forever.
How does the president get past the date of this speech, Chip? You know, I mean, we're 3 years into the presidency now. You know, it's like, why the fire drill now on jobs? Because a lot of folks are saying, well, why did we spend all the time with health care? Why did we spend all this time in Martha's Vineyard? Why did we do something earlier?
And I think that's his biggest problem. This is really his first plan. Remember, he had no plan for the debt ceiling. He had no plan for the budget. The Senate Democrats still haven't passed a budget. He has done absolutely nothing. The only thing he's done so far is what Hank was saying. He blamed George Bush. He's blamed the House Republicans. He's blamed everybody else. And this is the first time he's actually going to have a plan of his own and try to lead on this issue. And I think it's pretty late in the game, and the American people understand that.
Quick last word, Hank.
It is pretty late in the game. We better hope the president's right. Why? Because away from partisan politics, which is what the Republicans ought to avoid, we are Americans.
Good final word. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megan.
A burly firefighter bumps